UFC 318, Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway 3 is taking place this weekend. And although I think the card could have been a lot better, knowing that the card's basically set, I'm not going to complain now because there are a couple of fights that are looking very intriguing. I'm going to cover every single fight on the card regardless, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, and without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. All right, first fight on the card, we got Carli Judice versus Nicolle Caliari. Now, judging by their record, you would think that Carli Judice is complete garbage, but I think Judice is actually pretty good. She got a KO over the Venezuelan chick that was touted as like a legitimate prospect, and Carli Judice, her technique's actually really good. I just think that she came up short in a couple of fights uh, because she was very inexperienced. But I'm gonna pick her to win this fight because I don't really trust Nicolle Caliari, who has yet to win a fight in the UFC. I think the only fight she had was a Cascate earlier in January this year, and I don't really remember much about the fight other than the fact that it was pretty boring and the fact that I did not really enjoy the fight whatsoever. Am I gonna watch it back to give you like a technical breakdown? No, because what kind of sane person would do that? I'm just gonna go off Carli Judice because she actually looks good though. Like I'm not talking just about her looks. She's actually got good technique. I can see her getting a KO within the first two rounds. She's very crisp. She's got very slick striking, and I can see her getting a TKO within the second round. All right, now moving on, we got Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson Mcvey. Now, I have no idea who Jackson Mcvey is, so I'm gonna go with Bruno Ferreira. Yeah, Bruno Ferreira is actually really good. You actually need a full training camp in order to beat a guy like Bruno Ferreira. Now, Bruno Ferreira has let me down sometimes, like when he was about to fight Abus Magomedov, because Bruno Ferreira can be retarded. You know, for every time he looks like a world beater against a guy like Dustin Stoltzfus, he has a fight like how he lost to Abus Magomedov. And every time he beats Armen Petrosian with the triangle, he'll lose to Nursultan Ruziboyev in the first round by knockout. Very hit or miss, but I just recognize Bruno Ferreira is, like a decent unranked contender. Whereas Jackson McVeigh, I don't even think he was supposed to be in the UFC. I think the UFC just brought him in as a short notice replacement because Ikram Aliskerov pulled out. And Jackson McVeigh, I don't really see anything special about him. Like, and that's the thing too. He's fighting in like the American regional promotions. Like, there's a big difference between like the regional promotions here in the US and the UFC. So I'm gonna say that Bruno Ferreira probably gets it done within the second round by knockout. Maybe he can get a submission. I doubt it though. I think Bruno Ferreira getting that triangle was kind of a one-off thing. But I just think that Bruno Ferreira is probably gonna look better than Jackson McVee, especially because Jackson McVee is not a UFC fighter, and he's coming in as a short notice replacement. All right, next up we got Ryan Spann versus Lukasz Brzeski. I'm gonna go with Lukasz Brzeski. Do I have any sort of like analytical reasons as to why I'm picking Lukasz Brzeski? No, I'm just picking Lukasz Brzeski because I'm never trusting Ryan Spann to win a fight ever. Like Ryan Spann, I have no idea how this guy managed to KO Dominic Reyes, but somehow Ryan Spann is just awful. Like, ah, again, like if he was like smart or at least had some sort of fight IQ, then I would maybe pick him because Lucas Bresky isn't exactly the best. But Ryan Spann, again, he is dumb. He's a fat, dumb sack of shit. He literally made Waldo Cortez Acosta look like a world beater out there. And if you're making Waldo Cortez Acosta look like a world beater, I'm never picking you to win a fight in the UFC. I know Ryan Spann also, he lost to Anthony Smith twice. Like, how are you losing to Anthony Smith twice? Especially, like, post prime on paper Anthony Smith. where he's just basically a walking corpse looking for a paycheck. I genuinely don't understand how Ryan Spann and still in the UFC at this point. Uh, will I be shocked if Ryan Spann wins? No, because again, Lucas Brzeski is also awful. But I'm gonna go with the fact that Lucas Brzeski didn't lose to Waldo Cortez Acosta via TKO in the second round, or the fact that Brzeski, he didn't lose to Anthony Smith twice. If Ryan Spann wins, I'm still gonna think that he's trash. I'm still never picking him to win any fights. I'm still going to look at Ryan Spann as a retard, who I'm just gonna keep picking against until he loses, and I'll laugh in his face because Ryan Spann, he just pisses me off. He pisses me off whenever he fights, and I never want to see Ryan Spann in the octagon. So I'm gonna go with Lucas Brzeski to win this fight. And it's probably gonna be by decision. Maybe it's TKO in the late rounds. All right, now moving on, we got Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute, he's very dodgy, and in hindsight, his draw with Rodolfo Bellato isn't looking good, considering Rodolfo Bellato bitched out of a fight against Paul Craig of all people. But I think Marcin Prachnio, he has such a deficiency in the grappling. He's gotten submitted multiple times in his career by Vitor Petrino, and his last fight. I'm forgetting who he fought last time, but I know he's been submitted multiple times throughout his career. And Jimmy Crute, although he's very dodgy on the feet, he looks like he's stepping on Legos whenever he's trying to strike. Jimmy Crute's ground game's actually really good. So even if he doesn't get a submission, I can see Jimmy Crute dominating Marcin Prachnio on the ground. And again, Jimmy Crute, now that he's back to being active, I'm assuming he's gonna look better than how he looked against Rodolfo Volato. So I'm gonna go with Jimmy Crute to win this fight, probably by late round submission. Uh, would I be shocked if this goes to a decision? No, because both of them are very dodgy uh, in certain areas of the game. But I just think that Jimmy Crute will have the more reliable option of just taking down Marcin Prachnio and either subbing him or just looking to keep dominant position for 3 straight rounds. I'm gonna take Jimmy Crute by sub or decision. All right, now moving on, we got Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov, the Mager Habib himself. I'm gonna go with Islam Dulatov because he's fighting Adam Fugitt. Every time I've seen Adam Fugitt fight, he's in on the end of a highlight reel knockout. He got knocked out by Michael Morales. He got knocked out by uh, Danny Barlow. Well, who else did he get knocked out by? I'm forgetting. I've just seen this guy get knocked out way too many times though, and I think Islam Tulatov, I don't know how good he is, but I'm just gonna assume that he's not bottom of the barrel like welterweight level because Adam Fugitt, he's not good. He he gets knocked out every single fight unless you're like shit as Josh Quinlan, who just got recently cut from the UFC. So I'm not really expecting anything from Adam Fugitt here. Again, I don't know how good Islam Dulatov is. Like I watched him fight in the Contender Series and get a first round knockout. Again, does that really mean anything? Not that much, but it's clear that Islam Dulatov has some striking talent. Uh, as to how far he can go, like I don't have any expectations for him, but I do expect him to brutally knock out Adam Fugitt in the first round because this is Adam Fugitt in 2025. All right, now moving on, we got Ateba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. I'm gonna go with Ateba Gautier on this one. Unfortunately, Robert Valentin is a lamb led to slaughter in this situation because Robert Valentin, although I do find him amusing, he is just not good at mixed martial arts whatsoever. He has like decent striking at range. Like he can keep you at range with his kicks and stuff. He has no takedown defense, and if you pressure him in general, I can see Robert Valentin kind of quickly folding. Uh, I wish Robert Valentin was actually good. If you guys don't know, uh, I was watching him like in the tough like last year because he was like fighting over like in the Ultimate Fighter, and he was talking about how he's like praying to the Norse gods after like taking like psychedelic shrooms in order to like guide him to victory and stuff. Like I think that's pretty cool. But unfortunately, Valentin's just not good. He's coming off a loss to Horace Finney, and before that, Ryan Loader. You know, guys that aren't that highly rated as prospects. Meanwhile, Ateba Gautier, he can get fraud checked, but I don't think Robert Valentin's the guy to do so. I think Ateba Gautier, he's probably gonna look to pressure, just wait for his shots, and then eventually unload on Robert Valentin. And eventually, Robert Valentin is gonna get slumped out cold. So I'm expecting Ateba Gautier to get this by the round two, and it's gonna be a brutal knockout. That's gonna be on the highlight reels. All right, moving on, we got Francisco Prado versus Nikolay Veretennikov. This is very tricky because both guys I do not rate whatsoever. Francisco Prado is basically just a marauder with an iron chin. And Nikola Veretennikov is a technique merchant who just loses every single fight every time it hits the ground. I don't know. It's very tough to say. All right, you know what? All right, let me just give me a second here, you guys. All right, what I have in front of you guys is a quarter. All right, I'm gonna say heads for Francisco Prado, tails for Nikolai Veretennikov, and we're just gonna see what the coin tells me. The coin says tails, so I'm gonna go with Nikolai Veretennikov. I don't really want to go Nikolai Veretennikov. He hasn't won a fight yet in the UFC, and I don't think he's UFC caliber in the first place. But at the same time, Francisco Prado, is he UFC caliber in the first place? Again, I don't think has he won a fight. I'm not really sure, but every time I watch Francisco Prado, either he's fighting Jake Matthews where he's getting pieced the fuck up, or he's fighting Daniel Zellhuber, who's later on in this card, and just getting jabbed nonstop. And also, I'm gonna say this: Francisco Prado, I think he is a lightweight that's bloated up to welterweight, whereas Nikolai Veretennikov, although he's not good whatsoever, which is concerning, I'd say that he's an actual welterweight. So I'm gonna say that Nikolai Veretennikov probably gets it done, probably 29-28 decision. All right, moving on, we got Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. Now, picking either one of these two guys is very concerning. Marvin Vettori, mediocre Marvin Vettori. The fact that you lost to Roman Dolidze, it has really shattered my confidence in your abilities whatsoever. And I'm not just saying that because you lost to Fraud Lidzy. I'm saying that because you looked absolutely shit while losing to Roman Dolidze. As I was watching that 3 a.m. in the morning in Turkey, uh, yeah, it wasn't exactly a stellar performance. Meanwhile, Brendan Allen, however, I just can't trust him to win a fight. Like, this guy, I don't know why he does this, but every time he's having success on the feet, he'll suddenly look to just, like grapple out of like a dumbass position. Like I remember in his last fight with Anthony Hernandez, he tried to back take Anthony Hernandez off a head kick. I have no idea why Brendan Allen does these things. But that's what Brendan Allen does. That being said, I'm gonna go with Brendan Allen. Now, will I look like a complete retard if Brendan Allen loses his fight? Yes. I will fully admit that because I've picked Brendan Allen to win every single one of his fights, and Brendan Allen has let me down in every single one of his fights, and while looking like complete dog shit. So if Brendan Allen loses this, alright, fool me 3 times. That's shame on me at that point. However, I believe that Brendan Allen is just better than Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori is absolutely garbage. Marvin Vettori, I watched this fight with Roman Dolidze earlier in March. All he does is throw a left hand into a right hook. There's nothing else into Marvin Vettori's game. And you can talk about how Marvin Vettori used to wrestle. Or you can talk about how Marvin Vettori does all of these things back in his heyday. When has Marvin Vettori done those things over the last like 3 or 4 years? I think Marvin Vettori, he's garbage. All right, quite frankly, put it. I never thought he was good. Whereas Brendan Allen, I think he's a retard with actual talent. So I'm gonna say that Brendan Allen is going to probably win this fight. And also, you got to consider the fact that Marvin Vettori is also almost as retarded as Brendan Allen. All right, these guys are going chrome for chrome here. So, because these guys are both going chrome for chrome, I'm gonna go with Brendan Allen to win this fight, probably by 29-28 decision, where he can like control the back of Marvin Vettori for like 2 rounds, and just like even on the feet. I don't think Brendan Allen necessarily has to worry because Marvin Vettori, it's not like he's throwing anything with power shots, and he's not throwing anything like technical. So yeah, Brendan Allen should win this fight. And if he loses, all right, cut Brendan Allen from the sport. All right, moving on, we got Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Uh, I'm gonna go with Vinicius Oliveira. Kyler Phillips, again, like I know this is just one fight, but the fact that he looked absolutely helpless on the feet against Rob Font really dropped his stock, in my opinion. And what's crazy about that fight, Kyler Phillips wasn't pushing that outrageous of a pace against Rob Font early in the fight for him to gas out. All Kyler Phillips did was try to maintain top position on the ground after getting a takedown, because everyone can take down Rob Font. That being said, Kyler Phillips, man, like he has no sort of boxing defense whatsoever, and he gasses out like very easily. Now he looked like a world beater against Pedro Munoz last year, but that's Pedro Munoz. I think Vinicius Oliveira is much better than Pedro Munoz. I think Vinicius Oliveira is a lot more technical, stronger, faster, like more durable. Actually, no, I wouldn't say more durable than Pedro Munoz, but a lot of physical attributes. Vinicius Oliveira has an advantage over Pedro Munoz, and I'd say an advantage over Kyler Phillips. I think of Vinicius Oliveira, sure, he might gas out. Sure, like he's not exactly the most clean of all strikers, but he's dangerous. He is looking to finish you at all times, and he'll always push the pace, even if he's gassed out. And plus, Kyler Phillips isn't the guy to push a pace on Vinicius Oliveira in order to gas him out in the later rounds. So I'm gonna say that Vinicius Oliveira gets this done. I think he's gonna look better in like all stages of the fight. I'm gonna say this is gonna be a comfortable 30-27 decision, maybe even the finish. But I don't know. It's hard. It is hard to finish Kyler Phillips, so I'm gonna say that Vinicius Oliveira wins this fight 30-27. All right, now moving on to the main card opener, Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Ah, now logic tells me that Daniel Zellhuber is gonna win this fight, but I am very open to the idea of a Michael Johnson like upset, because I don't think Daniel Zellhuber is as good as many people think. I think Daniel Zellhuber, in short, is a jab merchant who just uses his long arms to keep opponents at range. Occasionally he'll throw an elbow, but it's not like Daniel Zellhuber is doing much of anything else. I don't think Daniel Zellhuber, like, there's a lot of like questions about him. Like, how does he look when people actually start to wrestle with him? Now, is Michael Johnson's wrestling all that amazing? No, but I think Michael Johnson's can shoot takedowns, and I think it would be smart for Michael Johnson to shoot takedowns. But I believe that Michael Johnson is more well-rounded than Daniel Zellhuber. Now, the physical advantages all belong to Daniel Zellhuber right now. But again, Daniel Zellhuber is a jab merchant who will never fight on the front foot. Whereas Michael Johnson, I think he can mix a lot of things up. So I'm going to say that Michael Johnson will probably get this fight done. And I expect Michael Johnson to kind of find an upset. Maybe like a late round TKO, maybe like a boring decision where he like smudge grapples a little bit more, because I think that would be wise for him to do. Well, does this look like bias from me? Yeah, I don't really like Daniel Zellhuber's style, because every time like people try to pressure him, he's always sticking his fingers out because he has like longer arms than everyone else. Because he's like 6'2" at lightweight, fucking frame and late bully merchant. But I think Michael Johnson is a lot more craftier than Daniel Zellhuber. And if Michael Johnson actually comes out with the crafty vet experience, I'm expecting Michael Johnson to come out with the upset. So I'm going to bank on the veteran experience of Michael Johnson to get the fight done. All right, now moving on, we got Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. Now, this is kind of a hard fight to pick because both fighters are kind of a mirror match style. Both guys are very stocky for the featherweight division. Both guys love to trade in the pocket, throw big punches, and both guys just love to scrap. That being said, I think that Danny Ige is a lot better than Patricio Pitbull at this stage in Pitbull's career. Pitbull at 37 or 38 years old, I don't think he's UFC ranked caliber. I watched Patricio Pitbull earlier this year against Yair Rodriguez, where he essentially was a punching bag for Yair Rodriguez. Now, am I going to use that fight to really dictate why Danny Ige is going to win? Not necessarily, but again, Patricio Pitbull, he's looked like how he fought against Yair Rodriguez in a lot of his past fights. All right, even in Bellator, even like when he was winning the fights, Patricio Pitbull often does this thing where he's just like standing in the void, waiting for someone to come at him first, and that shit not gonna work. And like it just doesn't in the UFC. It really doesn't. You have to be able to be on the front foot. You have to be able to attack first. So I'm gonna say that Patricio Pitbull, maybe he can make it look close. Maybe this is gonna be a boring decision. But if this is gonna be a boring decision, I'm gonna suspect that Danny Ige throws a little bit more because Patricio Pitbull again can look like a punching bag at times. And if this is gonna be fun, I suspect that Danny Ige, using his youth and physical advantages, will probably find the knockout before Patricio Pitbull does. So I'm gonna say that Danny Ige wins this fight. Uh, 29-28, 30-27 by decision. All right, now moving on, we got to the feature fight: Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland on this one. Now, I didn't think I would be saying this in 2025, but I'm actually picking Kevin Holland to win a fight in 2025. I think Kevin Holland right now, uh, it's not that he's fought like elite level competition necessarily. Like I know I picked up Vicente Luque against him, but I don't know. Kevin Holland just looked better than I thought. And I think Daniel Rodriguez is a step down in competition for Kevin Holland. Daniel Rodriguez, he's coming off the win against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Like, yeah, can Daniel Rodriguez, can he look good in the boxing? Sure, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to look good on the feet with Kevin Holland. Like Kevin Holland makes it look awkward, unless you're MVP. It was like very good, but also the fact that Daniel Rodriguez, he doesn't have a ground game. So even if Kevin Holland can get dropped, I can see Holland working off his guard, trying to get some submissions off on Daniel Rodriguez. And also the fact that Daniel Rodriguez, like, yeah, he looked good against Santiago Ponzinibbio. It's Santiago Ponzinibbio in 2025. Santiago Ponzinibbio should be in the retirement home at this point. Whereas Kevin Holland, I think he's at the tail end of his prime. Like he is actually pretty good if he's not fighting like 185 grapplers or like elite level striker. So I think Kevin Holland on the feet he can pick apart Daniel Rodriguez at range, and on the ground I think Kevin Holland has a massive advantage over Daniel Rodriguez. I think Kevin Holland, as long as you don't put him against like really good competition, I think Kevin Holland can win a lot of these fights, especially if they prefer to strike. Because as we all know, Kevin Holland loves to strike. So I'm gonna say that Kevin Holland gets the job done, probably by late round TKO, if not a 30-27 decision. All right, moving on, we got Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. This is a no-brainer to me. I'm gonna go with Roman Kopylov because I'm not picking Paulo Costa to win a fight in 2025. I don't think Paulo Costa's ranked level. Like Paulo Costa has 0 wins against current ranked contenders, and I think the last time he won against a ranked contender was fucking Yoel Romero back in like 2019 or 2020. Since then, he's lost to nearly every ranked contender, and he lost to Luke. The only guy he won against was against Luke Rockhold. Whereas Roman Kopylov, I know he lost to Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez is actually really good, and outside of that, Roman Kopylov's looked really slick. He beat Curtis. Chris Curtis. He beat Cesar Almeida. He beat a lot of guys that are like in the on just outside of the rankings of the middleweight division. I think Roman Kopylov is a lot more of a slick striker than Paulo Costa, unless Paulo Costa is gonna look to like close the pocket and just take a lot of shots in order to beat up Roman Kopylov in the later rounds. I don't see Paulo Costa doing that. Therefore, I'm going to pick Roman Kopylov because he's a lot more cleaner and technical striker. I can see Roman Kopylov really piecing up Paulo Costa as the fight progresses. I'm going to say that Roman Kopylov gets like either a late round TKO or he just thoroughly dominates 3 rounds. Again, Roman Kopylov, there is a concern that he might gas out at the third round, but is Paulo Costa really the guy to weather people down with like his crazy cardio and pressure? No. I'm gonna say that Paulo Costa, he's gonna look to just kickbox at range, but Roman Kopylov's just so much faster and he's so much better than Paulo Costa at that style. Again, if Paulo Costa comes out like the Paulo Costa of old, where he's just looking to trade in the pocket, take a few shots in order to try to find a knockout shot, maybe Paulo Costa can win. But again, I'm not picking Paulo Costa to win in 2025. And I'm going to say that Roman Kopylov gets rid of Paulo Costa from the rankings by giving him a brutal defeat. All right, moving on to the main event, we got Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. Man, this is really hard to pick because although Dustin Poirier is 2-0 in the trilogy, Max Holloway looked really good in his fight with Justin Gaethje. Now, there are some concerns, like how Max Holloway just got knocked out recently by Ilia Topuria. Uh, like it's Ilia Topuria though. Is Dustin Poirier gonna look like Ilia Topuria on the feet? Maybe, but then again, I don't think Dustin Poirier, although he's one of my favorite fighters, I can't say he's as good as Ilia Topuria. Max Holloway, he absolutely schooled Justin Gaethje on the feet over the course of 5 rounds, and it's been what 2 years since Dustin Poirier lost to Justin Gaethje via head kick. I'm not even gonna use the first 2 fights as like an indicator of how this fight's gonna play out because both fighters are significantly different from like since they fought like 6 years ago or like 7 years ago. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but it's been a while. Like my head tells me Max Holloway, but my gut tells me Dustin Poirier. I don't know why. Like everything, like over the last like 4 years, tells me that Max Holloway is gonna beat Dustin Poirier. But Dustin Poirier, it's in Louisiana. I just feel like the crowd and like just the Louisiana atmosphere is gonna boost Dustin Poirier, like Poirier's plot armor, and I think Dustin Poirier is gonna have a huge advantage in this fight. Again, I can't really explain to you why. Like I've watched both of their fights, and everything tells me that Max Holloway's faster. Max Holloway has more variety in his shots, and Max Holloway is like adding new things into his game that is gonna present problems to Dustin Poirier. I can see Max Holloway just kicking at Dustin Poirier a lot. I can see Max Holloway just being too fast for Dustin Poirier because Max Holloway is like a true featherweight. Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier has been an established lightweight fighter over the last couple of years. And if you guys don't know anything about lighter man skill, Max Holloway, again, typically he just looks that much faster compared to lightweights. That being said, again, I don't know why I'm picking Dustin Poirier, but I'm just gonna pick him because of the vibes. Like this isn't exactly any technical analysis. I know this is kind of ironic, but I just think that Dustin Poirier, he's gonna shine bright like a diamond, and he's gonna get it done. Like, I still think Poirier has the power advantage. I still think in the pocket, Poirier is going to be able to beat Max Holloway. Plus, you got to consider this: Holloway is coming off a knockout loss against Ilia Topuria. Is Max Holloway gonna throw himself into the fire against Dustin Poirier? I don't think so. I think Max Holloway is gonna try to like stick to range more often. And although Max Holloway can be very good at that, I think Dustin Poirier over the course of 5 rounds, he's very gritty. So he can stick through and just like find the shots later in the fight in order to knock out Max Holloway. So I'm gonna say that Dustin Poirier is gonna win probably in the later rounds. I'll say like round 4 TKO. Yeah, round 4 TKO sounds about right. All right, that's gonna be it for today's video. Leave a comment down below how you guys would rate UFC 318 overall, what fights you guys are excited for, and overall who you guys have winning for like certain matchups. But yeah, other than that, I'm probably gonna make a video later about the McGregor Willie picks. If you know, you know. Because that I did not expect to see that on Twitter this morning. But yeah, I'm gonna probably make a video about that later tonight. And other than that, I'll see you guys later. Peace.